Hey guys, Insomniac here. Please support me by liking and subscribing to this channel as we are a new channel and we're trying to grow. I started doing this about 2 weeks ago because I had enough and decided that I want to be my own boss one day and no longer be dependent on my current employer. Also, this is something I see myself being passionate about. Again, if you support me, please hit the like and subscribe button as I would greatly appreciate you. Thank you. And back to the story. A number of years ago, we were called to a body dumped in the stairway of a public housing building. As we arrived, we shoved the floor mat into the door to prop it open. A nice young guy gives a hand and we secure the scene. The deceased has multiple mutilations about his body, slashes, stabs, and burns. Even a bit of waffling, yet his clothes are bloodless. Medical examiner arrives. Body is completely drained. The corpse is fresh as no signs of decomposition have set in. The detectives arrive and the investigation begins. We remove the body and resume our duties. A month later, an arrest is made. Remember that nice kid that helped us with the door? He was a friend of the victim. He and the girl had been drinking with the victim. An argument started between them, so they beat the victim unconscious, tethered him to a chair, and proceeded to torture him for 2 days. After he died, they drained him in the tub, changed his clothes, opened the apartment door, and threw him down the stairs. In case you were wondering, there were 0 911 calls for the period of time he was being tortured. Those apartments are very close together. I would imagine 2 days of torture would make a bit of noise. My girlfriend's grandfather used to be a detective, and he tells a pretty terrifying story. When he was still pretty young, he got a call to an apartment building because a monster was trying to get into someone's apartment. The caller said that they had heard a gunshot, and then a while later something was pounding on their door. When they opened it, a monster was standing there and tried to get into their apartment. They kicked it out and slammed the door. The caller also said that they had heard more screams from down the hall, so the monster may have been trying to get into other people's apartment. When my girlfriend's grandfather got to the building, he found a man shambling around inside covered in blood. He got the guy turned around and realized that he had found his monster. The guy had attempted to commit suicide by putting a gun under his chin and firing upwards. However, he had screwed the angle up and blown off his jaw and part of his nose. But he was still alive and in extreme shock. He had been walking around the building, knocking on doors, trying to get someone to help him, but his grisly visage had terrified everyone, so they kept slamming the door in his face. I've been a cop for a while now, and this is one of the calls that still haunts me. I get a call for a domestic assault that had just occurred, and I learned that the victim is at the neighbor's house. I get there, find the female victim's throat has been cut from ear to ear. The neighbor is holding a towel up to her slit throat, and the victim is struggling to breathe. The paramedics are on their way, and I take over holding the towel for the neighbor. I'm trying to apply enough pressure to reduce the bleeding, but not so much pressure that I'm strangling her. It was a delicate balance. I have some serious doubts that this woman is going to live. I want to ask her who slit her throat. In order for it to qualify as a dying declaration, I need to be able to testify that she believed she was about to die. So I asked her 2 questions. The first was, "Who cut your throat?" She answered. The second one was, "You realize that you may be about to die?" which she also answered, "Yes." Our eyes were locked, and I still remember the emptiness in her eyes. Within a few minutes, the medic showed up, and my partner and I went next door to look for the suspect. The door was ajar, and we could hear a baby screaming upstairs. We went in with guns drawn. The metallic smell of blood was overpowering. We made our way upstairs, past smeared bloody handprints on the walls, and found the child upstairs. He was unharmed, and the suspect was long gone. Thanks to the excellent performance of the medical staff, the victim survived. I met with her a couple of weeks later, and I was very apprehensive to speak with her again. I had basically looked at her and told her she was going to die. When she opened the door, I could tell that she didn't recognize me. She had very little memory of what happened after she was assaulted. I told her who I was, and she hugged me, crying and thanked me for saving her life. The suspect ended up pleading guilty, so I never had to testify as to what I had told the victim that night. It still haunts me to this day.